Director of the Swami Vivekananda Cultural Centre at the Consulate General of India in Durban, Dr. Chaitanya Prakash Yogi, Mr. Matt Wilson, Miss Kaz Wilson, Miss Pam Naidu, Mr. CPM Chunu, Mr. Piyush Kandalwal, distinguished guests, online viewers, namaskar and welcome to YogaSangeetam. YogaSangeetam is the synergy between music and yoga to celebrate Yoga Month with the 21st of June commemorating International Day of Yoga. Indeed, to commence our program, I would like to invite our first guest speaker, Ms. Pam Naidu. And Pam ji is a yoga practitioner, a musician, and an educator based in Durban. Namaste and welcome, Pam ji.
Namaste, and thank you very much for affording me this privilege or platform to share a few thoughts on music and yoga. Two very vast topics. And if we look at yoga is a lifestyle. It's something that's part of our lives. It's something we do all the time. So it's not just focusing on one aspect, the physical aspect. So I'll speak just a little bit about Patanjali's Yoga Sutras, where he says that there's 8 different limbs in yoga, and it starts up with the yamas and the niyamas, and it builds up obviously to the higher stages of yoga, which is more the introspection part of it. And if you look at music, music is the creative art. It's part of the creative arts. So how would one then kind of fuse these two very vast topics together? I hope I can share some insight into this. So if you look at music first, it's the new age link, I think, between creation and the divine. So I'm speaking about music from a more spiritual background, something that's more, I would actually call it as therapy, because that is what it's really used for. So if we look at our ancient scriptures, Hindu scriptures in particular, like the Bhagavad Gita, the Upanishads, the Vedas, they speak of Raja Yoga. Raja Yoga being the king of all yogas. But then if you subdivide it, you still have your Karma Yoga, where you have to do your selfless service, and you have Jnana Yoga, which is knowledge, and then you have Bhakti Yoga. Bhakti Yoga is obviously dealing with the heart, the devotion, the softness, the compassion. So that's where music fits into yoga. I'd like to speak a little bit about Bhakti Yoga or Nada Yoga, the sound, yoga of sound. So typically, yoga is divided into the different aspects, and in an asana class, that's where the poses are being taught or whatever, traditional versus modern. In the traditional method, there was no music used because the students were confined to the teacher. They didn't have distractions around them. So it was the teacher and the disciple, and they could put their full concentration into learning what yoga is all about, bringing in the balance, the union between the body, the mind, the soul, the alignment of the body, the breath, pranayama. Unfortunately, these are modern times, and in modern times, with the influence of social media and technology, the typical monkey minds are going crazy. So people, when they attend a yoga class, they need to kind of settle down. And typically in a normal kind of a flow, vinyasa style of yoga, then they would introduce some music in modern times so that there's no distraction and the mind can sort of then focus on this soft background music. Yet again, it's the type of music that's chosen for yoga. It won't be something that's perhaps fast-paced or like, rock or heavy metal. It will be more kind of traditional chants, the including of nature sounds. Because if you look around us, everything has the sound attached to it. There's sounds all around us. Nature has its own sounds. We as human beings have our own sounds. So music then tries to shut off and create a little vacuum around us so that we can sort of bring in the balance, bring in this kind of centeredness, the grounding into ourselves. What then can music do? Music can heal. It is therapy. So even with neuroscience, they use music for patients that have high blood pressure and cardiac problems, so that they can bring the person back to a slower pace, kind of slow them down so that, you know, they could cope with whatever's going on. So music can be used as therapy. It can be used to bring balance, to bring grounding, to kind of de-stress, because everybody speaks about stress and stressful jobs and all of that. But what then does music really do? Even in a yoga class, in an asana class, it teaches you to actually listen, to focus on listening skills. And listening skills are very important because we often talk so much that we forget to listen. And when we listen, we then start internalizing what we are hearing. So initially, classes will be held with music, or perhaps a meditation with some soft music in the background. But after a while, you would realize that even the music doesn't play a part in it. Because if you are sitting in a silent room or you're sitting outside and you have no music, then you'd start listening. You'd hear the birds chirping, you'd hear the frogs croaking, all that becomes music. So you'd say, okay, but then, you know, they still sound around us. You shut yourself in a soundproof room. Then you start hearing your internal sounds. You'll hear your own heart beating, you'd hear your own digestion happening. So you're still listening. But what it actually tells us is that although we're in this fast-paced world and we are so caught up with everything that's happening around us, we should have that kind of balance, or we should be in a sort of state that we can deal with what's happening around us and not get so frustrated and say, there's so much of noise and I can't do a yoga practice, I can't do a meditation practice. We should be able to do a meditation wherever we are, even in the busiest of places, whether it's in traffic, whether it's in a mall. We should be able to find the centeredness and that kind of relaxation, or the peace within ourselves. A little bit about the Sanskrit chanting, which is part of yoga as a whole. Our ancient Sanskrit verses are so beautifully written, because it sometimes even takes out religion. It just gives you a meaning. And when you start listening to the meaning and then these chants play, it brings so much more feeling, that kind of compassion, that bhakti in you. So that when we do listen to these chants, it's just not a matter of singing them. It's feeling it, understanding it, and living by it. So then, you know, a little bit about the therapy. Music notes. There are 7 notes in music. Indian music, typically, sa, re, ga, ma, pa, dha, ni, sa. Each note is connected to the chakras. Each of our chakras, we have 7 chakras, and each note connected to each chakra. So the lower notes work on the lower chakras, the higher notes work on the higher chakras. So there's always a symphony going on with music and the arts. Then if you look at structure, we have a left brain and a right brain. And our right brain brings on the creativity part of it. The left brain is always logical and analytical, but we engage in the right brain so that we can bring the creative aspect into our lives, which is dance, music, being an artist. And I'm almost done with my time, but lastly, if I could then just quickly focus on one of the very famous poets of India, the Adi Shankaracharya, where he says, in yoga, we learn that we have layers and we have duties to perform. It's our dharma. We have everything to do. Breathing. After a while, you realize that even those things don't matter anymore, because breathing will happen. Layers are there. Life will go on. But we then have to start searching. Who are we? Where have we come from? Where are we going to? What is our true calling? What is our journey? And then we realize that the most important thing would be Sat, Chit, Ananda, existence. We're existing on planet Earth, Mother Earth. Then the consciousness of how we should live, our yamas and niyamas, the do's and the don'ts, the dharma. And the last aspect would be, where am I going to? What then is my sole purpose in life? How am I going to reach this? That's where the bliss and the consciousness comes in, to say that we are part of this divine. We are part of the cosmos. We are part of this consciousness that's around us. So we are part of the divine. The divine is part of us. We are one. There is no duality. So we are just not human beings. We are beings. Yoga teaches us to be in the present moment, to appreciate everything that's going on around us, to appreciate nature, to appreciate man, animals, the atmosphere, the planet. So it's just a very, very wide aspect. I hope I could do some justice to both topics, because it's such short space and they're quite vast, but bringing the synergy together is that music. I'll sum up with a lovely saying by the famous speaker S. Iyengar. Yoga is like music, the rhythm of the body, the melody of the mind, the harmony of the soul. This creates the symphony of life. So thank you again for allowing me this few minutes to share some thoughts on music, yoga, and I do hope that it was useful enough. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Pamji, for those profound insight remarks on the synergy between music and yoga. We will now be having a music demonstration, a video demonstrating music and yoga by Pamji.
The chanting of Om brings our awareness to the present moment, releasing the past and preparing for the future. I will now do an invocation to Sage Patanjali. The following Sanskrit chant encapsulates the meaning of yoga, and I will read its translation in English. I am Shiva, the pure, unbounded, all-pervading consciousness, the transcendental self merging with the Absolute. I am eternal, and there is no end to me. I am ever present. I am always there. The body dies, but I am there. I am always enlightened. I am Brahma, the Creator. There is no duality. It is me in all forms. My breath is flowing everywhere. I am formless. Though I am inside a form, my spirit has no form. I am consciousness. I am pure energy and pure consciousness. Sat, Chit, Ananda, existence, consciousness, and bliss. Shivoham, Shivoham, Shiva Svarupam, Shivoham, Shivoham, Shiva Svarupam, Nityoham, Shuddhoham, Buddhoham, Muktoham, Brahmoham, Brahmoham, Brahma Svarupam, Chidoham, Chidoham, Sachidanandoham, Chidoham, Chidoham, Sachidanandoham, Shivoham, Shivoham, Shiva Svarupam, Shiva
Thank you so much, Pamji, for that beautiful demonstration. Our next guest speaker is Mr. Matt Wilson, a musician and yoga practitioner in Durban, for his remarks.
Well, thank you for having us and just to be included in this discussion, and this, it's such a beautiful topic. So yeah, I feel very honored that I don't know how our names got involved, but it's lovely to be here and just to talk about something that's so wonderful and such an important part of our lives. I can only wish, you know, as Westerners, I do wish that we had a culture that was so ancient, and I know it's ancient, but our culture has eroded so drastically over the last millennia, and it's just so wonderful that and I feel very privileged that we found the yoga philosophy in our lifetime, to be able to begin the journey of understanding and learning about yoga. and the many facets of yoga that there are. I mean, like Pam was talking about the layers of yoga, and it really is. It's just such a wonderful journey to be part of uncovering and deepening our understanding of yoga philosophy. And sometimes it's difficult for just talking on myself, on my part, understanding the yoga philosophy. It does, maybe with our Western minds, it takes quite a bit of work to understand, these beautiful topics that talk about consciousness and stilling the sensations of the mind. Is such an incredibly difficult task, within the world that we live at, that we're all part of. So are we just very blessed that we've been able to discover yoga and to really deepen our understanding of it. And along with the yoga comes the music in a way, because it's everything is intertwined as in one. We begin our yoga practice with chanting Om, in getting our minds and our consciousness in tune with the universal sound, and we understand the power of the sound in that chanting Om. And then with the Iyengar yoga practice, we chant an invocation to Patanjali, and it's a beautiful way of connecting people. Music is an international language, so and it crosses so many boundaries, and there are no limitations as far as music goes. So pure music it really has no limit, or no it's an infinite tool. That sounds are carried for eternity in a way. So for us as yoga teachers, we're very blessed with the tools of yoga, and how it has impacted on, for me, for my songwriting, for the music that I create. It's not, I'm not a Vedic musician, and I would love maybe in one point in my life to learn an instrument, an Indian instrument, and to learn about the ragas and the complexity of the music and the healing ability of the ragas. I would love that. And as like I said, it's a journey that we've started, and we learning every day, every minute. We moving forward in this journey. But for me, the journey of yoga and music really came together for me in my life when I think I needed it most. And the yoga gave me such clarity of thought and just a deep connection to the very essence of our beings, and also learning to see, like we say, namaste, to really see the light within each other. And for me, it's helped with writing songs that speak of the connection that we have with the divine consciousness, and the connection that we have with each other through this. And hopefully our goal is to inspire the youngsters in this journey, and so that they can see that through yoga there are infinite possibilities out there, and it is in the journey of looking at your yamas and your niyamas, and really trying to develop the self in order to be the best we can be. And that's where yoga for me is it's an inseparable part of our lives now. And then obviously with the music, it shares the same soul space. And it's been a wonderful journey. Deepening the yoga has deepened the music for me. So thank you.
Thank you so much, Matji, for those remarks and explaining to us the synergy between music and yoga. Our next guest speaker is Miss Kaz Wilson, and Kazji is a yoga teacher and a self-taught musician as well. Namaste and welcome, Kazji.
Thank you. So I'll clarify. I wouldn't quite call myself a musician, although I love to play different instruments, including things like a singing bowl, a medicine drum. We actually created a little video this morning. The two of us, Matt was on the guitar and I had the medicine drum going, and technical difficulties haven't allowed us to share it with you. But it was just a little impromptu session, but we'll see, maybe afterwards we can get it to you. So yeah, I mean, I think Matt mentioned that we are both Iyengar yoga teachers. So we've been practicing Iyengar yoga. I have myself for maybe 16 years now. Yeah, the cliched term where they say yoga is a journey. It's so, you know, not cliched, because it is so true, because we have never completed ourselves in our studies, because there's so much to learn. So yeah, with Iyengar yoga, there's level after level and workshops and all these beautiful opportunities that, in fact, this pandemic has brought us, connecting us globally with teachers that, you know, I didn't think in this lifetime I'd be able to experience, and in our, you know, our own living space. So going, you know, back to the connection of yoga and music is in the Iyengar practice. We don't have music in the background. Guruji said that there's music, the mind is taken to the music, and we want that one-pointed focus within us. And through the instructions from a teacher, or by just following the breath, that one-pointed focus is attained. But that's not to say that there's no connection, because as Matt mentioned, we start off with the Om, and then we do the invocation to Patanjali. And this in itself, when you're in a room full of people, is just the most beautiful, powerful connection, not only with the people in the room around you, but from yourself, from the very center to every cell in the body, you know, that the vibrations penetrate into. And as Pamji mentioned, you know, the chakras, using the breath and the sounds to move up and down the chakras. It is the most powerful healing sounds. And even once we've practiced or chanted the Oms and the invocation, and there's that moment of stillness, it's the most beautiful charge. You know, you can feel it in your hands, you can feel it in every cell in your body, and that is such a beautiful gift. And then mostly in the class it's quiet, besides the teacher's voice. But at the end, if we do pranayam, there's sometimes things like Brahmari, which is the bumblebee pranayam, and that's that vibration. And again, reaching us on a cellular level, energetically and cellular. I mean, it's incredible. And we use the Sanskrit words. So Matt and I, you know, not being born in India or being raised with some of these words, for me, it's been the most beautiful journey in learning. And we use the Sanskrit words for all the asana, and I love getting the understanding of what these words mean. And it's a very long journey, because we still have a lot to learn. But I still think even those words that are spoken by the teacher in Sanskrit, again, those are vibrating and reaching the students. And it brings me back to the pronunciation of some of the words, which I've found very interesting, because I'll go to one teacher and they will pronounce something in a certain way, and then I'll see the next teacher pronouncing it in a different way. And then I've realized that there's different dialects, you know, to northern and southern India, and sometimes the A is like Trikonasan, it's dropped instead of Trikonasana. So it's been, yeah, very beautiful just in learning that. And I also go back to thinking of one of the questions that when Guruji was still around, somebody asked him, you know, how can you teach us meditation? And he said that meditation is something that is not taught. It's something that is attained from practice, and that through asana practice in itself, it is meditation. Because again, the mind is so within oneself. It's that one-pointed focus, and of course pranayama as well. That's one way to really attain that. So yeah, that's for me. I mean, listening to music, beautiful music when I'm working. It's I don't think yoga is limited to being in a studio, in a class. It continues when we, with our family, when we cooking, or when we're in the garden, doing whatever it is that we do. Yeah, it continues with us. So I think it's all connected through sounds, through music, through actions, our doings. So that's pretty much it. And Pam, the quotes, I'll actually like to end with that as well. I know she's already mentioned it, but I think it's the most beautiful quote, and I often bring it into my class. So I'll say it really slowly, and you can just really savor these words of Guruji's. Yoga is like music, the rhythm of the body, the melody of the mind, and the harmony of the soul create the symphony of life. So thank you.
Thank you so much, Kaz, on this episode of YogaSangeetam. We will now be having a music demonstration, or a music video demonstrating the synergy between music and yoga by Mr. Matt Wilson and Miss Kaz Wilson. Indeed, so beautiful, depicting that synergy there by Kazji and Matji. I hope you guys enjoyed it as much as we did. With that, we've come to the conclusion of YogaSangeetam, the synergy between music and yoga. I would like to now call upon Mr. C.P.W.M. Chunu from the Swami Vivekananda Cultural Center at the Consulate General of India in Durban to render this morning's vote of thanks.
Greetings to all of you. On behalf of Swami Vivekananda Cultural Center at the Consulate General of India in Devon, I am honored today to deliver a vote of thanks on today's program, Yoga Sangeeta, under the theme Synergy between Music and Yoga. Allow me to thank the following online guests who took part on today's program. Mr. Matt Wilson, a musician and yoga practitioner from Devon, for a wonderful remarks that he gave on yoga today. And also music and video demonstrating synergy between music and yoga. Secondly, allow me to thank Ms. Kaz Wilson, a musician and a yoga practitioner from Devon also, for the wonderful remarks that she gave us this morning regarding the yoga, and also for the music video demonstrating synergy between music and the yoga. Thank you very much, ma'am. Thirdly, allow me to thank Mr. Jeremy Detali, a vocal empowerment coach and yoga tutor from Cape Town, for the wonderful remarks that he gave this morning regarding yoga and also the music and video demonstrating synergy between music and yoga. Lastly, to Miss Pam Naidu, yoga teacher and the singer, for the great remarks that she gave us. Thank you very much, ma'am. And also about the music and demonstrating synergy between music and yoga. Once again, to Matij and Premji for what you did this morning. To Dr. Chaitanya Prakash Yogi, Director of Swami Vivekananda Cultural Center, Sri Harinarayan, Sri Piyush Kandelwal, thank you very much for taking part on today's program. To all our online participants, thank you very much for taking part on today's program. We are kindly advised to visit our Facebook page, ICCR Durban, for all the upcoming cultural Swami Vivekananda Cultural Center in Durban. Once again, to our online guests, to all of you, have a wonderful day. Namaskar.